Dyson, the king of vacuums, at the forefront of innovation and potentially product design. The man and the company that made their fortune from being better and significantly more expensive than their competitors. I like to think of them as the Apple of the vacuum world, making great products while charging a premium. Now don't get me wrong, that's fair, you can charge whatever you want. People are buying the product and calling it the Dyson tax. But what you get in the end is a great product, and generally, bar some complaints, Dyson customers are very happy. So when I saw Dyson announce a new robot vacuum, a product that's actually coming to Australia, I was really excited. I spent days reading spec sheets, watching videos, flipping through marketing slides. I was hyped. It appeared to be the ultimate robot vacuum, one that is going to blow the likes of Ecovac, Roborock and Roomba out of the water, more like out of your house. Who cares if Dyson's 360 VisNav doesn't have an auto empty station or mopping? This is a vacuum, not a Jetsons toy, right? The story weaved here was that this is how you do a robot vacuum. Tested in the lab, through and through. This was the product to show the market how it's done. So imagine my surprise when I received the Dyson 360 VisNav for review, only to be completely disappointed. Welcome, Techman Pat here, and today we're talking Dyson 360 VisNav, the over-engineered robot vacuum from one of the most recognized brands in the world. Dyson, huge thanks for sending me this for review. I'm really happy about it, but I have some thoughts and feedback. Let's get started by rolling the intro. Starting with some specifics, then the good, the bad, and the ugly. But don't get me wrong, I have a lot of praise for the VisNav and plenty of feedback. According to Dyson, the VisNav has 6 times more suction than the latest competitor. The issue with that is we don't know if they mean a competitor in the same price range or a $300 unbranded robot vac from China. This reminds me of the Apple M1 chip release a couple of years ago. The graph showed that it was 3 times more powerful than the competitor. Like Dyson, they gave no context. There are actual numbers Dyson does tout. The problem is they're not the marketing standard across other robots. The VisNav has 65 air watts, which is a measurement of the effectiveness of a vacuum cleaner, which refers to airflow and the amount of power a vacuum cleaner produces and uses. More specifically, the number of air watts, sometimes called Luftwatt, is determined by the negative pressure the vacuum cleaner can create and the amount of air it can move in a given time. That sounds like a sensible thing, but as with other values that are currently being quoted by manufacturers, AirWatt does not have any direct information about how great the suction force is at the nozzle. Because the suction power can be measured from the closest point to the motor, like in a stick vacuum, it does fall off when the nozzle gets longer, or if there are any unwanted openings in the air system. So that 65 watts of power is directly on the floor. And Dyson has told me that if there was any more, this robot would not be able to move because it would just be stuck to the floor, which is pretty cool. However, to make matters worse, AirWatts is not an internationally defined physical unit. The figures that manufacturers give for AirWatts should not be seen as values that can be directly compared, although they should actually be. Now, to give you a bit more context, my Dyson V10 stick vacuum has 140 air watts at its turbo setting, which lasts only 15 minutes. Keep that in mind, as it will be a bit of a theme for the VisNav in the video. Back to the air watts. After further research, I have come to agree with Dyson on this one. This robot has the best suction out of any robot I have ever tested in my home. The Hyperdinium motor spins at a 110,000 RPM, which is crazy and sometimes loud. In auto mode, the piezo sensor monitors dust levels 15,000 times a second to detect microscopic particles that are invisible to the eye, and automatically increasing the suction power when needed. Finally, Dyson's fully sealed 5-stage HEPA filter traps dust and seals in 99.99% of particles as microscopically small as 0.1 microns, which according to Dyson is the size of pet dander and or diesel suit. Like with other Dyson vacuums, the filter is removable and can be washed. There are no consumables on this robot. And that's what really makes it a Dyson, right? Everything should last the life of the robot and just be cleaned. Physically, the VizNav's D-shape gives the robot a full-width brush bar, and the extending side duct sucks up dust in the corners, removing the need for brushes that generally flick debris around. This robot will reach every nook and cranny in your home, battery allowing. The main brush is incredible. All other robots need to take note. This is how you do a rolling brush, but that shouldn't be a surprise based on other Dyson products. And so it shines here too. It's a fantastic brush that picks up everything it comes across. I love the colors and the design. It's built really, really well. It's solid. It's got that Dyson feel to it. The empty bucket is also very easy to empty, and taking it out of the robot, it does need to clean every so often, as with everything else, and high air pressure will do the trick. And as you can see and mentioned before, there is no auto empty station here, nor does it mop. Dyson told me that an auto empty station doesn't fit their motto at the moment of a non-consumable, especially with the bags and the robot mopping can spread germs around rather than actually cleaning your floors. And while I can agree with the mopping sentiment that they assured me had scientific backing, you can certainly make an empty station with a bucket-like empty station like this one already has that doesn't need you to consistently empty it. It just requires a bit of engineering, which I'm told Dyson is great at. For those who are privacy conscious, Dyson has outdone themselves on this one. The VizNav can be used without connecting to Wi-Fi. Without the app, just plug in and vacuum. The ultrawide lens at the top that's used for navigation will locally store your home's information only in precise numbered points rather than any images. And of course, the longer you use it, the more efficient the cleaning is based on the layout that it learns. Lastly, at 2,399 Australian dollars, aside from the robot, Dyson offers concierge-type services where a phone support person will assist you with the setup and use of the robot. So far, the VizNav sounds great, and on paper, it does too. So let's go down the rabbit hole of the bad and ugly.
In auto mode, your robot can clean for up to 50 minutes per charge.
Suction and battery life. If you use the auto mode, the robot will last about 17 minutes and then go back and recharge, which means that if you have a large home, let's say a 4x2 home, it'll take multiple days for the robot to vacuum the entire house and then start again. If you work from home, this is an absolute pain. If you're leaving for a couple of hours and you want the robot to do a quick vacuum before guests arrive, then this will not do the job. I've been using this robot in a small area where my kiddo plays on a bit of a carpet section and floors, and that literally takes almost 2 hours. It's an absolute pain, and there's no way this robot can do the entire home. The other modes that it comes with, the quick and the boost and the quiet, well, they're a little bit better, but still the battery just doesn't last long enough. And that suction power that we talk about, well, what's the point if I can't actually utilize it for at least a sizable chunk of the home? Furthermore, to add to the pain, the navigation is horrible. It is using a visual camera which pinpoints points in your home and then tries to remember it. It can never find its own home to try and recharge because, again, it uses visual points rather than a LiDAR or some sort of laser sensors or a camera at the front. Further to that, it can't really sense what's on the floor to figure out if it should go around it. The front bumper at the front does the job, but my one's already stuck. That's not very good. It is light, it won't damage your furniture, but aside from lacking any object detection, the camera itself requires light when in the dark. It has an array of LEDs that light up. And again, if you're vacuuming in the evening and it goes under a table or near something dark, the thing lights up like crazy. It's like the sun comes out at night. Great, but annoying if you're just trying to get it to vacuum maybe an evening and you're just trying to relax, put it on quiet mode, sure. In regards to the physical limitations of the camera, it's mounted at the top and kind of looks up in an ultra wide way. And of course it can see flat ways, but it can't see further than the top of the machine, which means it won't spot any small bits and pieces on the ground, or if you have a chair or something that has a bar at the bottom or lower than this camera. The side duct rarely opens up against the walls, even though it has wall sensors on the side. I only caught it doing it once around a chair, which made no sense, but when it's near a wall, it would never turn on. And it's only on one side. The app, it's okay. It does its job, it schedules, you can see what it's done. It doesn't plan out your home that you can select rooms. You kind of can, but you can imagine that it's like a kid drew your house. It's just a wobbly goop of lines that makes it look like a square room. It's not great, it's not useful, so I use it without the app. I just press play, and generally I set it on auto because I know it's going to do a very small area and it's going to take 1.5 to 2 hours, depending how dusty it is and how quickly the actual battery runs out. The battery runs out within 17 minutes, so it can only do your house in 17-minute lots before it needs to go and recharge for another 2 hours. Not great. Again, this is on auto. Auto mode should be the one that does everything, and if you really want to push that robot a little bit further, turn on boost. This is the wrong use for the auto mode. But ultimately, if this robot didn't have the navigational issues and the lack there of battery, or maybe some software changes to make the auto mode a little bit smarter or a little bit more self-conscious about the size of your home, this robot would be the best. But right now, my only suggestion is if you have an apartment, a very small one with thick pile carpets, some floors, and you don't work from home and you leave for 8 hours a day, then this is the robot for you. It'll do a fantastic job. Because don't get me wrong, my carpets were looking amazing after it's gone through. At least 3 or 4 times and takes 6 hours. And it misses a lot of spots because the navigation is terrible. But in the spots that it did cross over, it got every single little bit of dust. But if I have a robot to save me time, I can't have this running 8 hours a day and recharging constantly because I just want a job done. So, at 2,400 Australian dollars, is this a good buy? No, it just isn't. It's lacking a whole bunch of extra features. It's not going to get you the lifestyle that robots tout, saving time. Yes, your carpets will be beautiful after 16, 20 hours of continuous cleaning, because it has to recharge all the time. You never know if it will go back to recharge. If you have a simple square home, then this robot might work for you. If this robot was $1,500, I could recommend this. I could say, hey, this is a fantastic robot. The suction is out of this world. Yes, the battery doesn't last very long, but it is great in the small areas that it does its job. Hence, this robot is dedicated to my kids' play area to vacuum up the debris that he creates. But I have to make sure to pick up all the toys. So friends, let me know your thoughts below. Thank you very much for watching. Big thanks to Dyson for sending me this through. It's a greatly engineered product with 2 flaws. And I hope the next generation fixes it. You can almost say we're beta testers at this stage. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in another one. Bye!